The set's entirely different. I mean, it had nothing to do with it.
There was a remodel
of the house, and it.
How would you?
I would tell them, give us 3 episodes. Watch 3 episodes. If you're not convinced that it's the kind of show that we used to do and that you used to love, don't watch anymore. But give us 3 episodes, I think we'll have you.
When Dallas hit television screens in 1978, it wasn't just a show, it was a cultural earthquake. For 14 seasons and 357 episodes, the Ewing family defined what television drama could be. Oil money, betrayal, power plays, and family warfare unfolded every week in prime time, pulling audiences into a world where wealth came with a price and loyalty meant nothing when there was an empire at stake. The question that stopped the world, who shot JR, became more than a cliffhanger. It became a moment in history. An estimated 83 million Americans tuned in for the answer, making it one of the most watched television events of all time. Dallas turned Friday nights into national events and proved that the right story told by the right people could make the whole world stop and wonder who pulled the trigger. But Dallas was more than plot twists and oil wells. It was the actors who breathed life into Southfork Ranch. Larry Hagman's devilish grin, Linda Gray's tear-streaked elegance, Patrick Duffy's steady moral compass. These weren't just performances. They were defining roles that shaped careers and left marks on television history that still resonate today. The show ended its original run in 1991, but the Dallas legacy never truly faded. In 2012, TNT brought Dallas back, reuniting original cast members with fresh faces for 3 more seasons, proving that Southfork Ranch still had stories to tell. But what happened when the cameras finally stopped rolling? The Dallas cast, were they now stories, went a transformation. Some stars continued to shine in Hollywood, others walked away to build entirely new lives, and some left us far too soon, their legacies preserved in the episode that made them immortal. From the height of 1980s TV drama to the decades that followed, this is their journey. Larry Hagman, the man who became the villain America loved. JR Ewing wasn't just a character. He was a phenomenon. When Larry Hagman stepped into those custom-made boots and that signature Stetson, he created something television had never quite seen before, a villain so magnetic, so brilliantly ruthless, that audiences couldn't help but root for him even as he destroyed everyone in his path. For 13 seasons, Hagman played the role with a wink and a snarl, turning the scheming oil baron into one of the most recognizable figures in entertainment history. The Who Shot JR? Cliffhanger in 1980 became a global obsession. An estimated 83 million Americans tuned in for the answer, a ratings record that stood for decades. That's the power Hagman wielded. He understood that JR worked because he was never just evil. He was charming evil, the kind of man who'd stab you in the back and then buy you a drink to celebrate. Beyond Dallas, Hagman had already claimed a place in TV history as Major Tony Nelson on I Dream of Jeannie. But JR was his masterpiece, the role that defined him and that he embraced fully. When TNT revived Dallas in 2012, Hagman returned without hesitation. At 80 years old, he slipped back into JR's skin as if no time had passed, reminding a new generation why the Ewings mattered. Then, on November 23rd, 2012, Larry Hagman passed away from complications of acute myeloid leukemia. Rather than write him out quietly, the show honored Hagman the way JR would have wanted. They made his death part of the story. JR's final scheme became a posthumous plot driver, proof that even in death, the character remained larger than life. Hagman's legacy extends beyond the screen. He was a dedicated environmentalist, a fierce advocate for solar energy, and survived a liver transplant in 1995, becoming a vocal supporter of organ donation. When people think of 1980s television, they think of JR Ewing. When they think of television villains done right, they think of Larry Hagman. Linda Gray, grace, glamour, and strength. Sue Ellen Ewing started as a victim, the alcoholic wife trapped in a loveless marriage, humiliated by her husband's affairs, drowning her pain in bottles hidden throughout Southfork. Linda Gray could have played her as weak. Instead, she played her as a woman finding her strength one brutal day at a time, and that choice changed everything. Over 11 seasons, Sue Ellen transformed from JR's suffering spouse into one of television's great portraits of resilience. Gray brought layers to every scene. The vulnerability never disappeared, but became weaponized. Sue Ellen learned to fight JR on his own terms, learned to survive in a world built to break her, and eventually learned to thrive. Her performance earned Emmy and Golden Globe nominations and genuine respect from viewers who saw themselves in Sue Ellen's struggle. When Dallas ended in 1991, Gray didn't slow down. She joined the cast of Models Incorporated, appeared in numerous television films, and took her talents to London stages, performing in West End productions. The TNT revival brought Gray back to Southfork from 2012 to 2014, giving Sue Ellen another chapter, this time as a recovered, powerful woman running for governor of Texas. Now 85 years old, Linda Gray remains remarkably active. Recent interviews show her as sharp and elegant as ever, discussing new projects and reflecting on the Dallas years with genuine affection. She attends fan conventions regularly, connecting with audiences who followed her for decades. Gray never let Sue Ellen define her, but she also never rejected what the role meant to people. Sue Ellen Ewing could have been a stereotype. Linda Gray made her a warrior. And decades later, both the character and the actress remain symbols of what strength looks like when it's earned the hard way. Patrick Duffy, the heart of Southfork. Bobby Ewing was a good son in a family built on bad behavior. While JR schemed and manipulated, Bobby tried to do the right thing. Patrick Duffy played him without a hint of superiority or judgment, which is why Bobby never felt boring despite being the moral center of a show built on moral chaos. Duffy brought warmth to Dallas that balanced Hagman's cold charm. Bobby's relationship with Pamela Barnes gave the show at heart, the Romeo and Juliet romance between warring families that actually worked because Duffy and Victoria Principal had chemistry that couldn't be faked. Then came 1985 and one of television's most infamous decisions. Bobby was killed off. Duffy left the show. Fans revolted. The solution? Bring Bobby back and explain an entire season as Pamela's dream. It was absurd. It was desperate. And it worked because audiences wanted Patrick Duffy back that badly. After Dallas ended, Duffy landed another hit with ABC's Step by Step, a family sitcom that ran from 1991 to 1998. He became a TGIF staple, proving his range extended beyond oil baron drama. The years since have kept Duffy busy with recurring appearances on The Bold and The Beautiful, countless fan conventions, and Dallas anniversary events. In 2020, he began a relationship with actress Linda Pearl, a romance that's been covered warmly in entertainment press. Duffy even launched a business venture called Duffy's Dough, staying active in entrepreneurial spaces alongside his continued screen work. He's never stopped moving, never stopped engaging with new projects and new audiences. The Dallas Then and Now comparison for Patrick Duffy shows a man who translated Bobby Ewing's essential decency into a real-life career built on reliability, talent, and genuine likability. That consistency is its own kind of legacy. Victoria Principal, the dream that defined the show. Pamela Barnes arrived at Southfork as an outsider, the daughter of Digger Barnes, the Ewing's sworn enemy, falling in love with Bobby Ewing and walking straight into a family war. Victoria Principal played her with a combination of strength and vulnerability that made Pamela the emotional anchor of Dallas's early seasons. Principal's chemistry with Patrick Duffy became one of television's great partnerships. Their scenes together had weight and truth, giving Dallas its romantic core. But Principal was also building something beyond Southfork. While filming Dallas, she began developing a business plan that would define her post-acting life. In 1989, she launched Principal's Secret, a skincare line that evolved into a genuine empire. She didn't just lend her name. She was hands-on, involved in product development and marketing, building a brand that generated hundreds of millions in revenue. When Principal left Dallas in 1987, it shocked fans. But unlike Bobby, Pamela didn't come back. Principal had made her choice. She was done with acting. The years since have proven her decision strategic. Principal's Secret grew into a major player in the beauty industry. Principal also became an author and producer. In 2019, she announced she'd stepped away from her skincare company to focus on Victoria Principal Foundation for Thoughtful Existence, supporting environmental causes, animal welfare, and disaster relief. Principal maintains a relatively private life now, making selective public appearances. She never returned for Dallas reunions or the revival. Some cast members stayed connected to Southfork forever. Principal built an exit strategy and executed it perfectly. The Dallas TV show 1980s era belongs partially to Victoria Principal's work as Pamela Barnes Ewing. She gave the series its heart, then walked away to build an empire that had nothing to do with television. That's a different kind of success story, but it's success nonetheless. Charlene Tilton, the wild child who grew up on screen. Lucy Ewing was Dallas's teenage wild card, the impulsive, rebellious niece who seemed determined to cause trouble just to see what would happen. Charlene Tilton was only 19 when she started playing Lucy, and she grew up on camera over the show's run, evolving from the bratty teen to a woman dealing with real adult problems. Watching Lucy mature meant watching Tilton mature, and that parallel made the character feel genuine. The role made Tilton a star. She became a teen idol, appeared on magazine covers, and dealt with the sudden fame that comes from being on television's biggest show. After Dallas ended, Tilton continued acting steadily through the 1990s and 2000s, television movies, guest spots, stage work, and faith-based projects that align with her personal beliefs. In recent years, Tilton has become a fixture on the fan convention circuit, embracing the Dallas legacy with genuine warmth and gratitude. She attended the Southfork Experience in 2025, posed for photos, signed autographs, and spoke in interviews about how the show changed her life. There's no bitterness in her reflections, no resentment about being known primarily for one role. Tilton has also been open about personal challenges over the years, discussing resilience, faith, and mental health with a candor that's made her relatable to fans dealing with their own struggles. She's used her platform to encourage others and remind people that child stars deserve grace. The Dallas cast then and now journey for Charlene Tilton shows someone who made peace with her legacy. She's not trying to run from Lucy Ewing or desperately chase bigger fame. She's living her life, doing work she cares about, and staying connected to the show that gave her everything. Ken Kercheval, the rival who wouldn't quit. Cliff Barnes existed to make JR Ewing's life difficult, and Ken Kercheval played him with perfect scrappy determination. Cliff was the underdog who kept swinging even when he was outmatched and outcharmed by JR's relentless scheming. The rivalry between these two became the backbone of Dallas, and Kercheval made sure Cliff never felt like a mere foil. Kercheval appeared in more episodes of the original Dallas run than anyone except Larry Hagman, 209 episodes over 13 seasons. That longevity speaks to how essential Cliff was to the Dallas formula. Without someone to challenge JR, the show loses tension. The Ewing-Barnes feud was generational, and Kercheval played the weight of that history in every confrontation. Before and after Dallas, Kercheval worked steadily in television and theater. He was a trained stage actor who brought discipline to his screen work. He returned for the Dallas TV movies in the 1990s and showed up for the 2012 TNT revival, giving Cliff one more chance to be on screen. Kercheval remained close to his Dallas co-stars throughout his life, attending reunions and participating in fan events. He understood what Dallas meant to people and never took that connection for granted. On April 21st, 2019, Ken Kercheval passed away at age 83. The news was met with tributes from former cast members. Linda Gray called him a generous, funny, and talented friend. Patrick Duffy said he was one of the best scene partners he'd ever had. The JR Ewing actor may have gotten more headlines, but Ken Kercheval gave him someone to fight. And in doing so, he gave Dallas one of television's great rivalries. Cliff Barnes lost more battles than he won. Ken Kercheval won by making us care about every single loss. Barbara Bel Geddes, the matriarch of morality. Miss Ellie Ewing was the soul of Southfork Ranch, the woman who held the family together through scandals, business wars, and betrayals. Barbara Bel Geddes brought quiet strength to the role that made Miss Ellie the moral center of a show filled with characters who'd abandoned morality for profit. She didn't yell, she didn't scheme, she simply reminded everyone who they were supposed to be. Bel Geddes came to Dallas as an established theater and film actress with a career stretching back to the 1940s. She'd been nominated for an Oscar, won a Tony Award, and commanded Broadway stages. She didn't need Dallas, but she understood what the role offered, a chance to play a woman of substance on television. As Miss Ellie, Bel Geddes gave Dallas its conscience. When JR went too far, she told him. When Bobby struggled with moral choices, she guided him. The ranch was hers by inheritance, and she carried that responsibility with grace that felt earned. Bel Geddes won an Emmy Award in 1980 for her portrayal, recognition that honored both her performance and the character's importance to Dallas' success. She left Dallas for good in 1990, choosing to retire from acting on her own terms. She returned to her home, stayed out of the public eye, and lived quietly for the next 15 years. Barbara Bel Geddes passed away on August 8, 2005, from lung cancer at age 82. Her former Dallas co-stars spoke of her with reverence. Larry Hagman called her the rock of the show. Patrick Duffy said working with her taught him about dignity in performance. These weren't scripted tributes. These were genuine reflections on working with someone who brought Broadway grace to a Texas ranch. Miss Ellie Ewing taught audiences that strength doesn't require cruelty, that power doesn't require scheming. Barbara Bel Geddes taught her fellow actors the same lessons. Both legacies endure because they were built on truth. Steve Kanaly, the cowboy with a secret. Ray Krebbs started as Southfork Ranch foreman, the guy who actually worked the land while the Ewings fought over who owned it. Steve Kanaly played him as the authentic cowboy, more comfortable with horses and boardrooms. Then came the twist. Ray was actually Jock Ewing's illegitimate son, making the ranch hand a secret Ewing heir. Kanaly brought genuine Texas authenticity to the role. He was a real-life rancher who knew how to ride and work cattle. When Ray was on screen dealing with ranch business, it felt real because Kanaly wasn't faking the cowboy part. The revelation of Ray's parentage gave Kanaly deeper material. Ray had to navigate family politics he'd only observed from outside. When Dallas ended, Kanaly didn't chase Hollywood. Instead, he pursued painting. He became an accomplished watercolorist, exhibiting his work in galleries across Texas and beyond. His subjects reflected his life: ranch scenes, western landscapes, portraits of horses and cattle. Kanaly remains active on the fan convention circuit, attending Dallas reunions where he connects with audiences who remember Ray as the Ewing who stayed honest. He's been open about his art career, discussing how painting gave him a creative outlet different from acting, but equally satisfying. The Southfork Ranch reunion events wouldn't be the same without Steve Kanaly. He represents something essential about Dallas, the reminder that beneath all the scheming, there was actual ranch work happening, actual cowboy values trying to survive in a family that kept forgetting them. Priscilla Presley, royalty meets oil royalty. When Priscilla Presley joined Dallas in 1983 as Jenna Wade, she brought star power that existed independent of Southfork. She was Elvis Presley's widow, a woman whose place in pop culture history was already secured. Jenna Wade's storyline, a returning love interest for Bobby Ewing, needed someone who could hold screen time against the established cast. Presley delivered. Presley appeared on Dallas from 1983 to 1988, 5 seasons where Jenna evolved from complication to fully realized character. After leaving Dallas, Presley continued acting with the Naked Gun film series, showcasing comedic timing that surprised audiences. But her more significant achievement was becoming the driving force behind Elvis Presley's legacy management. She transformed Graceland from a private home into one of America's most visited private residences, building a business empire around Elvis's music and memory that generates millions annually. Her business acumen proved as sharp as anything JR Ewing ever displayed. She protected Elvis's legacy, made strategic decisions about licensing and merchandising, and ensured that new generations discovered the king of rock and roll. In 2025, Presley remains highly visible. She's on a memoir tour promoting her book, participating in interviews and public appearances that reflect on her life with Elvis and her decades as custodian of his legacy. Recent years have also brought legal matters into public view, with ongoing litigation surrounding Elvis's estate making headlines. The What Happened to Dallas Star story for Priscilla Presley is unique because she came to Dallas already famous and left it to become even more significant in other arenas. Jenna Wade was an important role, but it was never going to find Priscilla Presley. That doesn't diminish her contribution. It simply reflects someone whose life extended far beyond television. Dallas wasn't just a show, it was an era. These actors carried not just scripts, but the expectations of millions who tuned in every week to see what the Ewings would do next. They created characters that felt real, relationships that felt earned, and drama that felt like it mattered. The ranch became a second home for viewers, and the cast became family, dysfunctional, complicated, family nonetheless. Some of these legends are gone now. Larry Hagman's smile, Barbara Bel Geddes' wisdom, Ken Kercheval's determination. We lost them, but their performances remain, preserved in 357 episodes that still entertain new audiences discovering Dallas through streaming services and classic television channels. The TNT revival proved that the appetite for Southfork stories hadn't disappeared. It had just been waiting for the right moment to resurface. Others are still here, still active, still connected with the fans who made Dallas a phenomenon. Linda Gray attending conventions, Patrick Duffy launching new ventures, Charlene Tilton sharing her journey. They understand that Dallas gave them careers, gave them recognition, gave them a connection to audiences that transcends typical actor-viewer relationships. And they've honored that connection by never walking away completely. The ones who left Hollywood entirely. Victoria Principal building her business empire. Steve Kanaly creating art in Texas. Made choices that prioritize personal fulfillment over public visibility. Those choices are just as valid, just as worthy of respect. Not every actor wants to spend their life revisiting past glory. Some prefer to build new chapters entirely on their own terms. What unites them all is the show itself. Dallas changed television. It proved that primetime soap opera could dominate ratings, that cliffhangers could become national conversations, that the right ensemble cast could create something bigger than any individual performance. The oil wells and boardrooms were just settings. The real story was always family, how it strengthens you, how it breaks you, how it defines you whether you want it to or not. Decades later, we still remember the theme music. We still remember the cliffhangers. We still remember who shot JR. As a cultural moment that stopped the world. We remember Miss Ellie's quiet strength, Sue Ellen's tears turning to steel, Bobby's impossible goodness in a corrupt world, and JR's grin that promised trouble. We remember because these actors made us believe. The gates of Southfork may have closed, but the legacy remains wide open, in fan conventions and streaming queues, in reunion specials and nostalgic conversations about when television meant something different. Dallas endures. Not because it was perfect. It wasn't. Not because every storyline worked. They didn't. But because the cast understood the assignment. Make people care, make them feel, make them show up week after week wondering what happens next. They succeeded. And that success, measured not in awards or ratings, but in the memories of millions who lived with the Ewing for 14 years, is the truest legacy any television show can claim. Dallas proved that even after the final scene, the story never truly ends. As long as someone remembers, as long as someone cares, Southfork Ranch remains alive. That's the power of Dallas, and the people who made it unforgettable.